All right, so here are three goals that you might have that you want to complete by the end of the year. Let's say I want to create a working application by the end of the semester. I want to publish the app on the App Store, and I want to attend the Worldwide Developer Conference and showcase my designs. So these are three pretty lofty goals, right? This would be pretty impressive if you can finish this in the year over the course of 2 semesters. So let's break these down. What's important is that we actually break these down into smaller actionable steps that can then be scheduled so we know our progress, right? Right now, talking about these three massive goals, it might feel like we're kind of pushing a rock up a giant, giant hill. It's a little bit better if we can mark our progress along that hill, if we can say, okay, here I am, 10 feet up, here I am 20 feet up, here I am 30 feet up, right? If we're just pushing and pushing and pushing, I can almost guarantee these aren't going to get finished, right? Because it becomes just too stressful, too much of a giant goal. So what we want to do is we want to make those little checklists for ourselves, those things that we can break down into smaller pieces, or what I like to call stepping stones that lead to a larger goal. And those stepping stones generally should all take about the same amount of time. And for me, I like to break things down to 1 hour. So I break down a task to the point where it would take me 1 hour to complete one thing off of my list, which equals, a sort of a Pomodoro set or one set of Pomodoros. So I want to create a working application by the end of the semester. Let's just take this one and use this for our breakdown. So what are really some of the components here to create a working application? Well, one would be create an app idea, right? We need an actual idea. Another might be to create a prototype in XD, and then another might be to create a working code base in Xcode. All right, so let's give ourselves those three goals. If I was working in Android, right, I might say Android Studio. So I have these three smaller goals. Now, does it take an hour for me to create an app idea? No, for sure. It's longer than that. Does it take me an hour to make a prototype? No, definitely longer than that. Does it take me an hour to make a code base in Xcode? Definitely longer than that. So I want to keep breaking these down until I reach the hour mark. So let's go with this one in XD. So let's say I need to pick a color scheme. I need to design UI, such as buttons, etc. I need to, let's just say design UI actually. Maybe the next one is select imagery, and then I need to prototype interactions, okay? So can I pick a color scheme in an hour? Yeah, probably. I probably could, go through some color schemes and decide on one in an hour. Could I design a UI in an hour? I would say it would take me at least a couple hours. So let's break this further down. Let's say design button bases. Let's say we design font / typography. Let's say we also, in this user interface, we design like user profiles, etc. Okay, those probably would each take me about an hour. Now selecting imagery, let's say we also, I'll just guess that takes an hour. Prototype interactions, let's say we prototype basic interactions, which is like changing pages, right? And then we could also prototype advanced interactions, things like, for example, overlays, fades, blurs. So looking at this, okay, cool. I've actually kind of broken this down into several hour-long chunks. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to take me about 7 hours to create this prototype in XD. And you know what? I think that is it's a pretty safe bet, but I'm missing a couple core components, and that is, of course, iterate, right? Which is do it over again, and receive feedback. These are key elements that you need to keep in mind whenever you're chunking out your goals, whenever you're breaking these down into stepping stones, is think, well, I do at some point need to show this to other people, and I also need to get feedback from other people, right? These are integral. And this receive feedback might just be, posting it online, posting in forums, etc. Iterations, this might be, again, for like iteration 1, iteration 2, might be more and more things. But regardless, these are all the components that are going to go into fulfilling this goal by the end of the semester. Now that I've chunked these out, now that I've decided, okay, this is what I'm doing, I can actually start scheduling these things, and I literally do it by the day. So I say, for example, let's say November 11th, I'm going to pick a color scheme. November 12th, I'm going to design buttons. November 13th, I'm going to do this. If you look at our class is 7 weeks, right, to the half semester mark, or to the, well, it's a full semester, but then we have another one after that. You have essentially 7 weeks. So if we do 7 times 5, right, that's 35 class periods theoretically, if we exclude the weekends. And let's say we just did an hour a day, you would have 35 hours to work on this. Would that be enough for this? Probably not, but we can sort of start to use that as a good goal for breaking down our project into 5-hour, chunks per week. So what I want you to do is take those 3 big, actionable, quantifiable ideas, right? I want to create a working application by the end of the semester and break it down into these smaller chunks until you get to that hour mark. That's really important, is that you hit that hour mark so then it doesn't feel too overwhelming and you can actually finish one of these whenever you have a free hour or some free time.